Hi, podcast listeners. Welcome back to the Everyone Wins podcast. This is your host, Stephanie Chen, Chief Legal and Culture Officer here at Chen Med. My guest today is author, businesswoman, and educator, Elaina Zuker. Elaina is here to break down influence, how to have influence, and how to use your influence. Welcome, Elaina. I'm excited to have you here today. And you are one of Women's History Month's guests in March. Elaina, you have so many accomplishments. You're the president of Elaina Zuker Associates, a management training and consulting firm. You're a businesswoman, an educator, and author of 6 books on leadership, management, assertiveness, communication, and influence. And that's what we're here to talk with you about today, is that last book, Influence. You have a best-selling book called The 7 Secrets of Influence, and you have a unique theory, The Secrets of Influence, that breaks down 6 different types of influence. You also work with a lot of women. You've developed a program called Success Strategies for Women. So dive into learning about your own style of influence today with me and Elaina today, and put your influence skills to work. Okay, Elaina, let's get started. First of all, I would love you to tell our listeners, why are we bringing this topic up during Women's History Month?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say, Stephanie, I'm delighted to be here with your Everyone Wins podcast. And I'm so honored to be chosen to speak to the women of Chen Med. So let me just say why we're choosing this topic. Everyone can benefit from learning how to influence, both men and women. And we're bringing this topic up during Women's History Month because historically there have been times when women's ideas and opinions have been overlooked by others. We all know this, right?
Yes, that's
new.
Fair.
But as women, we're already natural influencers. But learning about the different styles will give us options so we can be more strategic.
Now, I have to be honest. I have thought that women are natural influencers. I've had that thought before, but I have never heard influence as being strategic. Can you say more about that?
So influence is strategic. You can have success with or more success with influence if you break down the parts of it and practice. You know that you may have had a very successful experience influencing someone, but you may not have known exactly what you did and how you did it. So knowing how to influence is one great way to get yourself heard. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But I just want to mention that in recent studies, skills like social influence are growing in importance in the workplace because manual skills are declining in importance. Of course, we all know because they're being replaced with artificial intelligence and other things.
That's right. So you mentioned influence and you mentioned manual skills are declining, but social influence skills are growing. So what do you mean by an influencer? I'm pretty sure you don't mean an Instagram influencer. Am I right?
Yes, that's right. So the definition of influence, it's more like a set of skills. The way we define it is that influence is the power to affect change in other people, seen only in its effect. Right? That means the result. And without exertion of force or formal authority, because, anybody can say, do it because I'm the boss. But influence is a gentle skill, a much more refined approach to affecting others rather than the use of authority or coercion. And the way I like to define influence also is that influence can change people's values, their attitudes, or behavior. Of course, the only result that you see is the behavior, right? But some people say influence is like magic. And in a way, that's true. But like magic, it requires a lot of skill and practice behind the scenes, so it comes out looking easy. You know what I mean?
Right. And smooth.
Exactly.
That's right.
So,
but now I know sometimes it feels like if you're practicing this influence so much, I love that you said refined skill, because that puts influence, I think, in a great light. But some people have a negative connotation, right, with influence, like it's manipulating.
Right, I hear that.
So what do you say to that?
Well, I also want to say that a phrase I like to use is that influence is portable power. because it doesn't come from what you know or who you know. Those are things that can change. What you know can become obsolete, and who you know, your network of contacts, can disappear. But influence, once you learn it, it's something, it's inside you. It's portable power. So you can learn it, practice, and master it, and have it available always. So I like to say that influence is the power to motivate, to grow, to be more confident, more effective, and more productive. And it helps you get the results you want and build relationships while allowing others to get the results they want. In other words, it's a win-win, just like
everyone wins.
Like we're talking about now. But getting back to this idea of manipulation, I like to bring it up, Stephanie, because a lot of people have this sort of thought in the back of their mind, I don't know, influence, it sounds, kind of sleazy, manipulation, influence peddling. So here's how I like to do it, so I can call it positive influence. Influence is a power. It's like electricity or nuclear power in a way, right? So it can be used for good or bad. And I like to think about it in two dimensions. First one is, what is my intent? An old-fashioned phrase is, are my intentions honorable?
That's right.
Is it my intent to help you or teach you something or benefit you? Right? And then the other one is, what's the effect? What is my influence resulting in over there in your corner? Are you being do you feel used or manipulated, to say a word, or do you feel that you've learned something or that you've benefited as a result of our interaction? And if we
I like that. That you said that it can be used for positive or for negative, right? And that actually, couldn't that be true of a lot of skills?
Absolutely. So you know that once you have this skill, you're powerful. I promise you're going to be powerful, and, or more powerful. And then you're going to decide. You're going to have to be selective about how you use this skill.
Now, you say that there's several different types of influence, right? I believe it said 7, and that you have a questionnaire that you can take to find out what style you have. So let's talk about 2 of the different styles, or how many do you want to cover today, Elaina?
I'll talk about a few, but I want to talk a little bit about the sort of meta principle. Okay. So there are the questionnaire. It's called the Influence Styles Inventory, and it's something that we use in the seminars. And it was developed by psychologists. And unlike a lot of other personality tests, this one measures only your posture and your attitudes when you're influencing others. It's not just, are you nice or are you generous or it's not about personality. It's just a cluster of influence. So it measures 6 styles. Now, you might ask, why is the book called 7 Secrets of Influence?
I wasn't going to ask. I was just going to let it slide, Elaina.
So the 7th secret is kind of the Uber principle. So I'll give it up now because people are going to get the book, I hope, and it's going to be very clear there. So there's a number of different styles. And as I said, I'm going to talk about 2 of them now. So you learn what is your profile over 6 different styles. And then the 7th secret, it's not a style, it's a principle. And it means that, and this is super important if you remember nothing else today. So influence equals attentiveness and flexibility. Okay, I'll say it again. So influence equals attentiveness, that's listening and observing, and then plus flexibility. So the idea is, of course, we all want to know about ourselves. We're much more interested in in numero uno than other people. So you take the questionnaire, you learn about yourself. It gives you a lens through which to understand yourself. But even more powerful is you're now going to use your understanding of this to be able to look at other people, the better to understand what their influence preferences are.
Yes, and it makes you more attentive because now this is on your radar.
And then you have the flexibility to try other styles, which I'm going to go into a little bit in the tips. You see?
So that's why you have the 6+1. The 6 are the different styles, and this +1 is just the key, the overarching theme of being attentive and being flexible.
What a great word, exactly.
Okay, I think I got it. So now you're going to tell me the two that you wanted to talk about?
Because they're so radically different from each other that I hope it'll make the point. For example, now I use some poetic license because, I invented these styles, so I made up the names, okay?
Okay.
So let's say there's a style called telling or analyst. The second set of words I came up with to sound a bit more corporate, but it's basically the same. So the characteristics of this style is someone who uses logic, facts, data, information. Now, you could say that this is a very lawyerly, you're an attorney, right, Stephanie?
I don't like to admit it, but yes. No, I'm teasing. But I'm an attorney.
We have to be careful about stereotypes here.
Oh, man,
so
yes.
I mentioned this because in research that we've done, not all attorneys test high in this style. Okay, so
which is it's like you called it the telling analyst style. Is that what it's called?
So it's someone that is convinced, that is influenced by logic, facts, information, evidence.
Got it. Someone who is influenced by logic, facts, information, and evidence. Got it. I know a lot of people like that. A lot of physicians, although we don't want a stereotype, like you said.
Well, in that job, it's important, right?
Right. You need the logic and facts and information and statistics, right? And I'm sorry, I missed it. What was the name of this one style, Elaina?
Telling or analyst.
Oh, it's got the two names. Yeah. Okay, got it. So the telling style or the analyst style.
So that's one style.
Got it.
Now, no person is all one style. And what the questionnaire will teach you when for listeners, when you get the ebook, there's a place where you hop over to a link and you answer 12 questions and then you hit submit and you're going to get your score. So it's quite interesting. So no person is all one style, but we all have a kind of a preference. Let's call it our default. Up to now, this is how we've defaulted to behave, and until we know that there are other ways to do it, we're kind of stuck in the default.
That's right. That makes sense. It's almost like your Myers-Briggs, or if you're born left-handed or right-handed.
So,
okay,
good analogy. Okay, and just mentioning the Myers-Briggs, by the way, I have to say this is more scientific, believe it or not, but if people test a certain way in the Myers-Briggs, this is congruent. So one of the things that you look for, when it's a little technical, but when you create these psychological instruments, it has to have what you call face validity. So after I take the questions and I look at my result, I have to say, yeah, that does describe me.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So now I would say I don't think I am a telling or analyst style, but I obviously haven't taken your quiz or your assessment. So what's the other one? What's the other style that you want to tell us about?
Wait for your own analysis of yourself until you've taken it, okay?
As soon as we finish this podcast, I'm on it, Elaina.
Well, I'll send you the book right away. Okay. So another style, which I'm going to describe this one because on the scale of the 6, it's diametrically opposite. So to make my point, I'm using extremes of both ends of the spectrum here, okay? So the second one I'm going to describe a bit, it's called gelling. And that's a word, I kind of made up that word. It means that our ideas gel or they mesh. Okay, so I call it gelling or idealist. Okay, so this is someone who is influenced by, big ideas, by emotion. Compared to the logic, facts, and data, this person loves a vision of the future.
Okay. Okay. I see the idealist in that.
An emotional appeal, right?
Got it. Yep.
A chance to be a part of something bigger than herself.
Well, this meshing idealist sounds nice. I am an emotional woman, Elaina.
Okay.
So that sounds interesting.
Okay. So just to summarize, there are 4 more styles, which everyone will find in the book. And the influence model helps you better understand yourself and analyze other people's strategies. And once you're able to do that, you will have what I like to call better radar. Your antennae will be more finely tuned.
I love that. And I love to learn. I think here at Chen Med, we want everyone to be kind of dedicated to lifelong learning. Right. And so these new skills, this Women's History Month is a great time to learn a new skill of influence. Now, just a reminder to our listeners, at the end of this podcast, which we are fast approaching, we are going to tell you how to get a free copy of the book and learn all the styles of influence. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, influence sounds like it's only important if I'm a people leader or if I'm in the top tier of leadership positions. But Elaina, you've told me differently. So why is influence an important skill for everyone to have?
Well, I want to say no matter what role you're in, it's very important to influence across lines, especially these days when organizations are changing so quickly. So you have to influence up, down, sideways. And for, people in your kind of organization, when you work with patients, you often have or working with coworkers or family. You might be working on teams where you don't really know the people, and yet you want to get your ideas heard and valued.
You bring up great points because we're here at Chen Med. We're not just trying to tell a patient to do something and see them again in a year. We're actually trying to change their lives for the better, give them more healthy outcomes, right? So if they need to lose weight, we have to influence them to make those very hard changes in diet. If they need to quit smoking or start eating less sugar, right? That influence, or even to get the vaccine. We're in COVID season, right? And so there's the flu vaccine and there's the COVID vaccine. So you're right. Influence, I could see now that you said that, is so important in any role you have here at Chen Med. And then also with family, oh my goodness, influence where we're going to do Thanksgiving. That's something I use every November.
So, the increase, another reason why we need this is that because our technology has increased so much, and, a lot of us are working from home, but even if we're not, we have so much technology around us, which is a good thing for the most part. But what has happened is that while we're more high tech, we become less good at what I call high touch, which is person to person, good old face to face communication. So,
yes, I see that in our children, and of course, everybody's quick to always criticize the next generation. But I definitely see that when I hand my children the phone and say, order a pizza, they almost don't know how to do it if it's not on an app. Like if they have to speak to a human, it's an issue, So that increase in technology that you mentioned makes it even more important that we have these necessary communication skills and continue to refine our communication skills, including that of influence.
Yes.
Oh, Elaina, thank you so much for being our guest today on Everyone Wins. I love how you break down influence as a strategic skill. So if you want more information and influence, go to Elaina's website at ezinfluence.com. That's the letter E, Elaina, and Z, zebra, influence.com for the free booklet, /free booklet. Elaina, thank you for joining me here today on Everyone Wins.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and to the women of Chen Med. It's been a pleasure and an honor to speak to you. Stephanie, thanks so much for your great questions.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure and a privilege to have you on at Women's History Month here at Chen Med, Elaina. Thank you again to Elaina Zuker, our Women's History Month guest on the skill of influence. Bye-bye.